I'm pretty booked out and I'm working pretty much every day, every week, somewhere between 16 to 18K gross. So I think that was like $800–900. I'd say I got my YouTube master's degree. My name's Jack. My business name is Dirty Mitten Pro Wash. I started about 2 years ago out of a small 2005 Black Forester. Since then, things have obviously changed a little bit. Still don't have the prettiest setup, but it's a lot better than what I started with. I just one day decided that I wanted to start my own thing and just bought a cheap little 2.5 gallon a minute pressure washer off of Facebook Marketplace and quickly realized I needed something bigger, so I upgraded to this one now. It's still not that much better. It's a 4 gallon a minute, but just kind of went from there and just decided I want to go all in on this and invested in equipment and just really started pushing it, and it grew a lot faster than I expected. So,
what was the first piece of equipment you bought?
It was this used pressure washer off of Facebook Marketplace. It was a little Simpson 2.5 gallon a minute. I only used it about once. So.
And you know how much that was?
I think it was $250.
What were like the initial investments? How much did that cost to get fully started?
Yeah, so I think once I really decided, like, all right, I want to do this and I'm serious about it, I started looking at, what equipment do I actually need to make this a reality? So that's why I bought this. So I think that was like $800–900. And then I needed a chemical injector. So I started with an X-Jet. I think that's like another $180. I bought a wand for it, a new gun, a nicer one. And I think that's really all I started with, other than this surface cleaner. That was it. I just went from there, and that's all I ran with for a while. It's all I could really fit in my little Forester. So. And
then when you got started, how long did it take you to get your first customer, or how did you get them?
Really just talking to people. I feel like I'm pretty well networked. I know a lot of people in my area and my community, and that's huge. Just being able to network yourself and knowing a lot of people in your community is huge. That'll give you a huge step up and shortcut to getting those customers. And so my first few customers were just people I knew, family, stuff like that. And then I started doing Facebook ads, and that's how I started getting my first true clients that I didn't know. And then after that, word of mouth is huge too. Once things started picking up, word of mouth, a lot of customers from that as well.
So do you currently still do Facebook ads?
I haven't had time this year. I'd like to, since I'm wrapping up. I just wrapped up high school. I had to schedule a lot of stuff for these first couple weeks in May, so I've been like super booked up, working 8 to 10 hour days each day. Right now I'm just running Google ads. Those have been more than enough to keep me busy, and word of mouth. Google Guaranteed is huge. It's super easy to just set it and leave it. Facebook ads are not quite like that. It requires more work, but that is something I'll start doing again this summer.
How much do you think you spend doing Google ads monthly?
So it's per Google Guaranteed. The way it works, it's per lead. You don't pay until you get a message or a call. I think the way I have my bidding strategy set, and the upper end, the most I'm willing to pay is like $25 a lead. And it's not always that much. I think usually it's anywhere from, I've had leads come in for as little as $10 or as much as like $23, $25. And that sounds like a lot, but those can easily turn into bigger jobs, so you're making that money back.
What are some of the other expenses that come with this business?
So not a whole lot. I mean, you've got chemicals, your soaps and the other stuff for stains and things like that. Gas. Gas is pretty big. When you're doing quotes, a lot of times you're running around. It can be hard to schedule quotes that are near each other, so you can spend a lot of gas. Insurance as well. Other than that, that's about it. And general maintenance with machines and upgrading new equipment. That's about it.
Can you tell us a little bit about your setup here?
Yeah, so I guess we'll go everything really quick. So I know I mentioned this earlier, but this is the big 16-inch surface cleaner. This is what I use for all of my concrete cleaning. It's just got a bar under it that spins around and cleans surfaces like that way faster. Just a gas can. This is my trusty Harbor Freight power washer here. She gets the job done. Budget power washer, but a lot of other guys use them and they're actually pretty reliable. Those Predator motors are really good. And then I've just got like my chemical injector hooked up there. I just built this recently. This is my remote downstream injector. So it's got a ball valve, electronic ball valve in there. And I have this little switch here. And so if I turn it on, I can switch between chemical and water. And that just helps save a ton of time. And you can buy them online for like $600–700. And I watched a video on YouTube, a guy was making one for $100, so I was like, I'll try and make it myself, and it works great. So this skid, you'll see a lot of power washing skids, a lot of really nice ones that are like aluminum. Those are super expensive. I wanted one, but obviously I didn't want to pay 20–25 grand for one. And again, I saw someone else with a DIY wooden skid, and I was like, I can make that myself. So I made that. I've got some storage under here where I've got like my extension poles for window cleaning, power washer guns go under there, and then some of my brushes and other stuff like that. And then we got my 2 hose reels. This is holds up to 450 feet of 3/8 pressure hose. This thing's super nice, like saves you so much time on jobs. And then this is, I've got 100 foot of garden hose on here that I also use for the power washer. And then toolbox where I just hold my chemical. But other than that, just ladder rack. I haul ladders with me sometimes only when I need it, just because I get terrible, gas efficiency when I have ladders on there. And I just got this one the other day that I put in the back seat. It's perfect for doing windows because it's got a bunch of different adjustable settings. But other than that, I think that's about it. And we've got the Pure Water window cleaning system too, that's right. And then that extension pole with the brush. Liam's doing some windows right now. But other than that, yeah, that's it. Pretty bare bones. So,
can you talk about what services you offer?
Yeah, so I basically do everything exterior cleaning. I do surface cleaning, concrete, deck cleaning, roof cleaning, house washing, window cleaning, basically anything exterior of the home. I do.
What's like your favorite one to do?
Favorite would probably be house washing, just because it's the most profitable and it's the easiest. I mean, roof cleaning is probably the most profitable, but I don't do a whole lot of roof cleaning. It's mostly house washing, and that's just the easiest.
Which one takes the longest to do?
Takes the longest, probably surface cleaning. Unless you have a huge setup, which I don't, that can be the most time consuming for sure. Once you get into huge flat areas, that's definitely the most time consuming.
And then for like a typical house cleaning, how much do you usually get with that?
So for house washing, I try not to charge any less than $300. If it's a really small house and it makes sense, especially if I'm doing multiple in the same area, or sometimes I have condos where they share the same roof, then it would make sense to go under that. But I would say my average house wash falls between $300 to $500, usually in there.
You said you did condos. Do you do mainly residential or do you do commercial as well?
Right now, mainly residential, yeah. I'm trying to do some commercial this summer. Probably won't push it a whole lot this summer, but next summer that's going to be a big goal of mine, just because I don't feel like I have the equipment needed to do big commercial jobs right now.
How far are you driving out to do a job?
Yeah, so I try to stay as local as possible. Most of my jobs are within a 20-minute drive, so I'm based out of Grand Haven. So I'll stay in Grand Haven most of the time, but I'll go to Muskegon, Norton Shores, Holland area, Allendale, east a little bit. If it makes sense, I'll travel. So like I'll go out to Grand Rapids and Byron Center sometimes. Yeah, so right now I'm just spraying down all the siding and the soffits and exterior the gutters and all that with our solutions to clean any mold, algae, or any organics growing on there. And we'll let that sit for a couple minutes, and then we'll come back and rinse everything off real good.
So do you pressure wash the sides, or is it just a soft wash?
It's a soft wash, yeah. So not what you think, not like pressure washing with high pressure or anything like that. This all relies on the chemical and everything like that to actually do the cleaning. So there's no high pressure on the siding ever. I've got this little controller hooked onto my waistband that hooks up to a remote downstream system I have on my truck. And when I flip the switch, it's able to swap over from chemical to water. So we can go from spraying chemical to rinsing pretty quickly.
How long does it usually take to wash the house?
It depends on the size. Usually somewhere between an hour to 4 hours for like a really, really big house. Somewhere in that range usually. But if we're doing window cleaning too, obviously it takes longer, but that's also why I've got Liam with me, helping me out to do the windows. He'll follow behind me and wash all the windows after the siding's been completely rinsed off.
And then for the washes, do you use any type of like purified water or chemicals or soaps? Like what does that look like?
Yeah, so for the window cleaning, we've got that pure water system there. And so that's just just completely purified water. There's no soaps or anything with that. The window just gets scrubbed down and rinsed off really well. And it just dries spot free because, like I said, the water's completely purified, so it's got zero sediment in it whatsoever. And then for the actual power washing, we use a diluted solution of sodium hypochlorite mixed with some soaps as well. The sodium hypochlorite is what kills any of the organics on the siding, and that's what does most of the work. And then the soap, really, on siding, it's less important. It helps it cling and do its job longer before it gets rinsed off or before it drips down. But it also just helps us know when we actually have chemical flowing through here, because after we swap over, it takes a little while. We've got 200 feet of hose that it has to run through before it gets flushed out. The water gets flushed out and switches to chemical. So.
And when you first started, how did you know like what equipment to get or what soaps to use?
Just a lot of research. I'd say I got my YouTube master's degree before I started really washing houses. I just watched a ton of YouTube videos. There's a lot of guys on YouTube that provide a lot of really good free knowledge on pressure washing. So I just soaked up as much of that as I possibly could. Joined a lot of Facebook groups too, and just soaked up again as much knowledge as I could. Ask questions whenever I had any. Most of the time, people are super nice in there and will answer any questions you have. Over time, I just upgraded equipment too and got nicer stuff. I started out really small. I still haven't upgraded my power washer. I'd still consider my setup now to be pretty like entry level, but I just upgrade when I can, and right now what we have works out just fine, so we're sticking with that for now.
So I see that you have an employee with you. How long did it take you to get someone to work with you or to help out, or did they start from the beginning?
I didn't have him start till this year. It wasn't really, I could have had one last year, but it wasn't really until this year when I started adding window cleaning too that it made sense. Because if, like on a job like this, if I were to be a one-man crew, I would have to wash this whole house, then come back around and do all the windows. And that takes double the time, than when I'm with him. It's so much faster. So with me being as booked up as we are now too, it doesn't make sense to not have an employee. I think once you get to that point, you should definitely start thinking about hiring somebody.
What do you guys do in the off season?
So I just graduated high school this year, and in the off season, I power lift during the winter time. So most of my focus was on powerlifting. It was nice to just have some time off, and so I didn't spend any time working. I made enough money in the summer and springtime where I didn't really have to worry about it, and I could just focus on that. I did some jobs. We had a super mild winter this year, so I did do a couple jobs as late as December, as long as the weather permitted and we had temperatures above freezing.
And then do you have any plans on growing? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I'm planning on going to college next year at Michigan State. And the nice thing though about this being a seasonal industry is that I can come back in the spring and continue to grow it. So ideally I would like to keep growing the business for the next 2 summers, and then after that decide what I want to do, if I want to try to sell it to someone if it is worth anything, or just at least sell the equipment, but we'll see.
What is one of your biggest projects in terms of time and revenue?
Just a couple days ago actually, I think that's the biggest one I've had so far. It was 2 houses right on the water in Grand Haven. But it's a really tricky area because the terrain is super steep. It's all these houses up in the hill. It's a super crammed area, so super tight. There's a lot of things you had to be careful with because we were doing house washing, and there was a lot of wood decking, so we had to make sure we're being really cautious with the wood. Neighbors had wood decking as well, so we did both those house washing. And then we also had window cleaning that day, so it was a long day.
Can you say how much you made from that house?
Yeah, so that one total, I believe, was $1,600 flat.
Are you working full-time every day? Is it more part-time for you?
Yeah, so at the moment, I'm pretty booked out and I'm working pretty much every day, every week. I have at least 8 jobs scheduled. As things progress through the summertime, I'm sure things will calm down a little bit, but I'm gonna try and stay as busy as possible this summer. It's looking like that'll be the case. It's looking like I'll, at least be working 4 or 5 days every week, so.
With that, how much might you bring in monthly?
It's hard to say because I don't know what this year is gonna look like. Last year was really my first full year, and I think I did somewhere between 16 to 18K gross. And then this month we're gonna do more than that. So honestly, I have no idea. I don't know if every month will be that. I kind of doubt it, but we'll definitely bring in more than last year. So
what was one of like your easiest projects? Like you were just in and out, but you still got paid for it?
Probably jobs where the client wants it done as soon as possible and I'm booked out. So in order to squeeze them in sooner, they pay a premium, which they're fine with. But I've had jobs where they're really small, but the customer really needs it done like ASAP. And so it'd probably be a job like that.
And then have you had any repeat customers yet?
Yeah, a ton of repeat customers actually. So the majority of the first work that I scheduled this year was repeat customers. The first thing that I did as soon as the snow stopped falling, or really I think even when we had freezing temperatures, was I had a client list from last year, everybody that I worked for, a Google spreadsheet with all the names and phone numbers and emails and everything. So I just reached out to everybody, let them know that I'm doing business again this year. And because I added window cleaning this year, I put something in there explaining that we were doing exterior windows and offered a discount as well, so that helped a lot.
What's like the hardest thing about operating your business?
Right now, this year, I feel like just having a life. Like, since I'm the main owner-operator, other than Liam, he does a lot of the window cleaning, but like I handle everything else, like all the books, like the spreadsheet, numbers, all that. I do all the quotes in person, all the customer follow-up, all that. So it can just be a lot trying to schedule all that. I'm trying not to be too booked out right now, because if you're too booked out, you can miss out on customers. So that's kind of leading me to packing a lot in. So I'm just trying to find a balance right now. Where
do you hope to see yourself in 10 years?
Ideally owning another business that's not power washing. I don't know if I necessarily want to do this the rest of my life. I do enjoy it, and I'm sure there are people in Michigan that make a living from it. I just think it's harder because it's, we only have so long. Our warm months are only so long. So, but I would love to own another business later on when I'm older, something else though, for sure.
And then do you have any tips or advice for other entrepreneurs out there?
Yeah, I would say if you're thinking about starting something, I think my biggest piece of advice is to just start. I think the longer you wait, the more you think about it. The saying, what is it? Over-analysis is paralysis. I think that's totally true. Like if you think about it too much, it becomes a problem, and then you just start overthinking things and you get in your head. So I think you just got to get out and just start. That's the piece of advice I have. Sure.